Yes! What's up, everyone, and welcome to Lowered Expectations. Thanks for lowering your expectations and hanging out with me here. I do appreciate it. A big hello to all of my new subscribers. There are a lot of you, so hello, welcome to the channel. And thanks to all of you absolute legends who have been hanging around since the very beginning. You know who you are. Thanks to everyone who's been getting involved in the comments section and leaving likes on the videos. All that stuff helps, so again, thank you. I appreciate that. Brief safety warning. I'm going to be messing around with my heater, doing all sorts of things that shouldn't be done, so just don't do it. If it's not obvious by the intro with flames shooting out of the exhaust and backfires happening, well, then you probably won't even understand what I'm saying, but just use your heater in the way that it was supposed to be used. In the last video, we cut open the burn chamber and the video ended with me being blown away that the thing was actually working. A lot of people are blown away because it is surprising that this heater is still working at all. Also, at the end of the last video, I speculated that I might be doing some testing with new motor oil, but that's actually going to be in the next video. I wasn't sure how much footage I actually had of this next testing, but it turns out I had quite a bit, so this video might go a little bit long. I'll try to keep it as entertaining and short as possible. But yeah, let's get into this. Where we left off, I had put the heater back together. It was running with a modified burn chamber in a few different ways, but what we had done is actually cut the chamber in half and we are holding it back together with a hose clamp. It hasn't been 15 minutes because when I came back out to the garage, the camera is still turned on and it turns off in 15 minutes. And the temperature now has dropped to 190, so I'm wondering if it's maybe not getting a little bit too much fuel. So what I'm going to try to do is put it into Alpine mode now and see what happens. I've switched it back over to diesel. I'm going to see if the temperature stabilizes or raises. I want to know if it is having issues because it's the waste oil or because of what I've done to the chamber to modify it. That was about 8 minutes and it seems to have stabilized around 198. And so I'm going to slowly start transitioning back over to the waste oil and see what happens here. All right, I don't really understand how this works, but it seems to be running the same temperature in Alpine mode that it was in regular mode. So I'm going to let the temperature stabilize with the waste oil. We are now completely switched over to waste oil. And I'm going to leave it in Alpine mode and see what happens. So, that quite obviously is a problem, so I'm not just going to leave it run like that. It's definitely going to get clogged up in a very short time. So I'm going to shut it down and I'm going to try preheating the fuel. I still have that piece of line here somewhere, and as I say that, I can't find it. I've got my diesel container here. That valve is open. They both go to the pump, so I can select which tank it pulls from. Goes into the fuel pump, out of the fuel pump, and into this line here. So there is a line that goes into the heat exchanger, just sits in the fins. It is a piece of automotive hard brake line called hard line, and it goes through the heat exchanger. I drilled a little hole and it comes out right there. So the original fuel line is here, and the one that I drilled and put through is right there. The temperature is about 100 Celsius for the actual fluid. That is sort of a guess. I'm just measuring the pipe, and I've measured it at about 90 Celsius at the maximum temperature. The temperature is at 194. I noticed that it's a little bit smoky in here. I can smell motor oil. And so I tried to get a little view of the exhaust here. And I don't know how well the camera will pick it up, but it is indeed a little bit smoky. I'm going to allow this to run, see how long it runs for before it gives me some sort of trouble. Then I'll take it apart and then perhaps play with some sort of mesh. I have some steel wool, so maybe I'll use some steel wool inside of the burn chamber. Getting another controller and being able to very finely tune the airflow and the fuel quantity might work. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see when we get there. So the plan was to leave it run and then clean it out, but I decided at the last minute before going in that I was actually going to try something that some of you are probably getting sick of hearing me talk about. I did a little bit of reading, and the American Petroleum Institute posted a study where they talked about diesel being contaminated from gasoline. So a lot of people might not know, but diesel and gasoline are quite often sent through the same pipelines and also transported in the same containers. And so you have a little bit of gasoline left over in the diesel and a little bit of diesel left over when you ship gasoline. And so anyway, the study said that as little as 5% gasoline and diesel can change the flash point of it. So I was using way too much. And so, long story to say that I actually just put in 200 milliliters. I'm checking the temperature to make sure that it's not plummeting here. I put in 200 milliliters, which is under 5%, into 5 liters. And the temperature has kind of stabilized around 208, 206. And the smoke has cleared up. Mostly. Every now and then you can see a hint of smoke, but I'll try to show you guys here. So I don't know if you can see that. There's a little wisp of smoke every now and then, but way less smoke than there was before I added the gasoline. I just decided to pull the exhaust pipe off camera and mount the muffler on so that I could get more of the muffler up into the ductwork to keep some of the smoke out of here. So I didn't want to shut it down because I didn't want to get myself in trouble by doing that. So what I did was I pulled the pipe off, and I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this, but yeah. That is completely plugged up. This is hot oil coming out the exhaust. So, we're obviously having some issues. Yeah, that's not gonna work. This is what came out of the exhaust. That is what shot out of the exhaust in just a few minutes. I believe it has the consistency of something like tar. Alright folks, it is the next day. I shut down the heater last night. I'm not sure if I filmed that, but I did some thinking overnight, and I think that I've kind of figured something out. We're gonna find out pretty quick when I pull the heater apart. So what I think I figured out is the reason why the heater actually appeared to be running okay was because it was able to dump some of the unburnt fuel out the exhaust, and that's what we were seeing with the fuel actually spraying out of the exhaust down onto the piece of aluminum below. So what was happening before is the fuel would not be burnt, it would sit in the chamber, and then it would smolder away and turn into that black concrete-y coal stuff, and then I would have to chip it out after a while. But what's happening here, I think, is that as soon as the fuel goes past the burn chamber area, I have the we'll see when I take it apart, but I have the clamp between the, what I'll call the baffle area and the shelf area. And so any unburnt fuel is able to just seep out where the hose clamp is holding it together, and the exhaust is right below that. Yeah, the exhaust is right below that, so any unburnt fuel that doesn't burn up quite quickly is able to just be disposed of out the exhaust, which is allowing the heater to work a lot better. If it was just sitting outside with a catch can underneath it, it would probably work fairly okay this way, because it's able to just keep disposing of that unburnt fuel. It's not highly efficient, but yeah. We're gonna take it apart now and see if my theory is correct. I don't think I've ever filmed this, so I'm gonna show you guys the process of taking down the heater. And that's all there is to it. Oh wow, it's super clean in here. Okay, so you can see that I was right. The oil is actually dripping down off of this gear clamp. So the seam between the, what I call the baffled area, this area between here and the shelf for that ledge is here. And the seam that I cut in it is right around this area. And because it's not sealed in any way, that fuel is dripping off here. You can see it's a bunch of sludge around that gear clamp, and actually right there. And so it's actually dripping off there because of the way this sits in the chamber. This sits in there like this. That gear clamp sits right there directly above the exhaust outlet. And so instead of all that crud building up in the chamber, it is actually just falling out the exhaust. Not that I ran the heater for a very long time, it was only a few hours, but that's what the result is. There's a little bit of stuff in there. I assume that it will chip away very easily, so I'll grab something to scrape at that and we'll see how difficult it is. Yeah, at some point they stop working and then I toss them in there. Let's see how much garbage is built up inside of here in that short time. Actually a relatively small amount. Again, I assume that that's because the oil had a place to run. I ended up using some ultra black silicone to seal this thing together, and then to hold it together, The last setup that I had wasn't working terribly well, so I took some of this aluminum tape, sticky back aluminum stuff, and I wrapped several layers of that around the tube. And so now the hose clamp grabs onto this flange and onto this tube over the aluminum tape stuff. First fire up, I primed it and hit the button, and it seems to be starting on its own. So I guess I will come back and update you guys if anything spectacular happens. Heater's just moving. Okay, there we go. Well, we don't have liquid squirting out now. Off camera, I added another 100 milliliters of gasoline to the oil diesel mix, and then I topped it up with more oil diesel mix. So approximately what I have now is 300 milliliters of gasoline in with 5 liters of diesel mix that is mixed at like 25% to 75%. I know these numbers don't work anymore because I added gas, but I'm not doing the math. So I have been watching it, keeping an eye on it. It's still smoking, but it's not sounding horrible. So what I'm actually gonna do to try to get it to burn a little bit hotter, it seemed to start burning a bit hotter when I added gas last time. So what I'm gonna do to try to get it to maybe clean up a little bit is add another 100 milliliters of gas. So that would be, 400 milliliters in total to 5 liters. And with that amount of gasoline, it seems as though the temperature has kind of stabilized around somewhere between 204 and 210. It's at 204 right now, 206. And yeah, it kind of goes back and forth. So anyway, I'm gonna go have something to eat, chat with some people in the comments section, and we'll see what happens here. It is now 6 hours after the last clip that you guys saw. It is 11:15, and the temperature is about 19 Celsius in here. At least it is right there. It's a little bit smoky in here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it is definitely smoky in here. I came out to check on the heater, but it has been running between 206 and 210 for 6 hours straight. It's obviously making smoke based on what I can see in here. I am excited to see what happens over the next however many hours. I assume it's gonna quit working at some point, because it always does. But yeah, we'll see. I'm now gonna switch it over to diesel for 15 or 20 minutes to run it on that, and hopefully clean it out a little bit if it's starting to build up some junk. The plan was to switch it every 4 hours, but if I run it overnight, obviously that isn't gonna happen. I got an email yesterday from VEVOR, the company that I got my heater from, and I've also bought other tools from, and they want to work with me. So that's pretty cool. Yes, that's correct. That's how far behind I am. That last clip was shot on January 11th, and it is currently February the 8th. I'm doing my best to catch up and still keep you guys informed, entertained, and not leave a whole lot of stuff out, but at the same time not be too repetitive. So I've been releasing 2 videos a week, and hopefully I will be catching up fairly quickly, but there is lots of stuff to go over. Yes, that is also correct. This was the day after VEVOR contacted me for the first time. For those of you who don't know, I purchased this heater with my own money. After doing so, VEVOR saw my videos, asked me if I wanted to work with them. I said yes, and as a result, we now have an affiliate link. What that means is there is a link in the description below. If you guys use that link to purchase a heater that is similar to mine, that helps me out. I get a small kickback, and it also helps you guys out because there is a discount code VVS10 for $10 off your purchase, or VV promo for 5% off store-wide. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, all the information is in the description below. Let's get back to the video. I ended up shutting down the heater last night because I thought it would be the smart thing to do. It was actually running really well, but I didn't want to burn my garage down, and so I shut it off. It has burned that much fuel out of the tank, and I'm about to restart it here, but because I shut it down from in the house with the remote, I wasn't able to switch it back over to diesel. So I'm actually going to prime the waste oil out of the system so that I can I'm going to prime the oil out of the system so that I can start it on diesel. It has been about an hour, maybe two, since the last update, and the heater sounds like it's running really good. It's maintaining a great temperature at, well, anywhere between 204 and 210, and it sounds really great. There's nothing worrying there, but it still is making quite a bit of smoke. If I wasn't doing this for a test, then I would shut it down or switch it over to diesel, because I can smell it in here. It smells like an old car running, not the gas fumes, but like an old car that's burning oil. I came out and decided to switch it from the waste oil mix over to the diesel to let it run there for 20 minutes. And I just came out now to check on it, and it has overheated. So just out of curiosity and hopefully to show you guys how good it starts, I will record this. Keep in mind, this has no baffle, and what in the heck just happened there? That is not normal. That didn't make sense. What are you doing? What is going on? I got problems, folks. All right, I had it unhooked for a little while. I took the exhaust off, checked inside to make sure everything was okay in there, and it is. So now I'm going to power this back on and hope that it works normally. Fan should ramp up a little, then slow down. It doesn't sound normal. Why is it doing that? Apparently my ECU is cooked. It's doing everything at like double speed. All right, folks, after everything the poor VEVOR heater has been through, I think I might have finally killed it. Fortunately, I do have another motherboard and controller coming, but they won't be here for probably another week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. So hopefully VEVOR pulls through and sends me something else to play with. Pardon the noise, I have turned on the Mr. Heater. I smell a little bit of burnt electronics smell, so that could be the circuit board or it could be the motor itself. I smell something, but I can't see which one it is. We will set the motor aside and check it out later. First, I want to check out the burn chamber to see how it's doing, because we haven't looked at it in a while. I'm really curious to see what this is going to look like, how bad it's going to be. Oh wow, wow, this is really promising. All right, I got to get you guys a shot of this. That almost looks beautiful. Obviously, that is still an issue. We have deposits building up in there, but for how long this actually ran, that is not too bad at all. I'm going to assume that this will break out of there really easily. And we can inspect it here. Oh yeah, look at that. Very interesting. It was growing like what do you call them? Stalactites? Surprised that that screw is actually moving. But I'm going to pull this apart and we'll see just how nasty it is. This was glued together, so I'm not sure with how much difficulty this will come apart. My aluminum foil is not sticking because all the sticky stuff burnt away. Oh, okay. So that's what it looks like inside there. Obviously not ideal. We are getting some buildup. How tricky is it going to be to clean up? That is a question. Whoops. It looks like it's going to clean up pretty easy. We could be miles away from making this work, but we're also miles closer to making it work from where we were. I assume that we still need more temperature in the chamber, and that probably means that we need more airflow through here. I almost forgot to show you guys inside of the heat exchanger. It looks very clean, even after flooding for a while trying to restart. So yeah, inside of the heat exchanger, very nice. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. I do appreciate it. If you liked what you saw, remember to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of this, remember to subscribe. Please go down there and do that stuff. It definitely helps. It just takes a couple of clicks, so please remember to do that. It looks like we may have killed the heater, but you guys are going to be surprised at how quickly it is up and running again. You'll have to wait till the next video to see that, but you'll probably be shocked at how quickly this thing was actually repaired. In an upcoming video, I will be testing the new motor oil to see if it burns cleaner or the same or worse or what happens. A bunch of you have been leaving guesses in the comments section. I appreciate all of your comments, so thanks for that stuff. I have been testing all sorts of interesting stuff like cetane booster, deep clean diesel additive. This is a container full of gelatin. This is a container full of sulfuric acid. This is a container with waste motor oil and sulfuric acid. This is a container that had spray 9 and waste motor oil in it. And this is a couple of dishes containing bacon grease. All of that stuff and more in upcoming videos. If you guys don't want to remember, all of that stuff and more in upcoming videos. If you guys don't want to miss it, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I will see you next time. That was bad.